to get out. But inadvertently, I pulled it back and jerked it in the corner, and the plane snapped over. And here I was flying through the air, and the plane went flying through the air in another direction. And I reached down and I pulled a ripcord, and it came all the way out. And I said, "Oh my God, I broke it." I forgot it just pulled through, you know, something to release those elastic things and swing the thing open. And the parachute shot open. I swung through the ground, and I was sitting right on the edge of a road in a plowed field. Now, all that had to have taken place in less than 10 seconds. I don't know how in the world I ever got out of it. And right after I hit the ground, 4 Germans, unarmed, because it was a replacement depot behind the lines, 4 Germans grabbed a hold of me. And actually, I think I had like 10 seconds before they grabbed me. And before they grabbed me, I had one thought in mind. What Axis Sally had said when we were in our tents in Corsica. And I took off running like this. The bad weather actually came to my benefit then, because Bob Loucks, leading the second flight, had trouble spotting the target, the second section of our flight. And it overshot it a little, and they were about at least a minute behind, and had to come back and go in their dive bomb run. And when these Germans saw this other 4 P-47s coming down, dropping the napalm, they thought about their life first and dived on one side of the road. I dived on the other side. There was a ditch there, and I must have ran a quarter of a mile or more down the ditch. Then there was a sort of a steep hill on the right, and I got on that, and then I'm going up a little mountain trail. It's always on a path, and I must have ran at a trot, a jog, for maybe 2 hours, just pacing myself. And when I was just about to collapse, coming off dialysis this morning, I feel the same way right now. I need one of you on both sides of me, but that's what it was. Some young guy, about 17 or so, and his girlfriend come running down this path the other way, and one grabbed me under each arm. And they took me to their villa, another half an hour, where we were now walking. I don't want to miss any of this. And the older ladies in the house put some kind of a brown salve over my burns. They smeared it on my face. I had it on my wrists. The back of my legs were the worst, because that's where that fire was shooting out from. Which of you guys ever wore pinks and greens? The old Army uniform? Okay, the ones they call pinks, I don't know what they actually were. They weren't pink, but they were pretty heavy material. That's what I was wearing. Well, I always wore something halfway decent in case we got shot down near Switzerland, so we'd have something to wear, while we were waiting out the war. But those pants probably saved me, because they were pretty heavy material. I had the rows of blisters up and down my legs, but not only the skin deep type blisters. What's that? First degree. What's the
No, second.
Bad. First degree.
Second.
Bunch of blisters, but not into the flesh, or not too much anyway. So they patched me up with that. Next day they gave me a blue suit and a pair of black shoes that didn't fit. And I was sitting out there, they had a little spring, and I turned around and there was a German. Sure enough, I figured they had me. He was standing there. He put his gun down and he said, "Basketball, basketball, basketball." That's the only word of English he knew. He was a German deserter, and although it scared the devil out of me at first, he was just grinning and laughing to talk to an American. That night now, they put me in a little room on the side of the house, and there was an extension on the house. There was a little low roof to the side. In the middle of the house, the patriarch of the family, I think there was 3 or 4 generations living there, at least 20 people, come in and knocked on the door. I had it locked, I don't know why, but I locked this little door of that room they gave me. He said, Tedeschi, Tedeschi. I don't know what Tedeschi means, I still don't. But he made me go out on the roof and jump off, and I don't know where they took me. I mean, I went out to the barn. It's not that, if it was a movie, we'd have me hiding in the straw with the Germans poking their picks, you know. But he took me out there to the barn and maybe behind it. I found out next day the Germans were going through all the houses surrounding area, and sometimes taking a hostage if they thought that they didn't turn the right guy in. They knew I had to be somewhere in there. I don't know what they did to the hostages. I never did hear that. The next day is when I meet Chi-Chi and Carmen. They say Chi-Chi's my guide to get me back through the lines. Carmen's going along. And it felt kind of bad. He had Carmen, I didn't have anybody. But the first night, we were only on the trail a half a day about, and we stopped at a little house on the side of one of these mountains. And I met a guy, his wife, and their maybe 1-year-old daughter, family of 3. He had 2 bedrooms. And they made it clear Carmen and Chi-Chi were going to sit in one of, we're going to sleep in one of them. I'm having trouble because I came off dialysis not too long ago.
Well, sit down, Dad. Sit down. Sit down.
Yeah. All right. So, I have to sleep in the bedroom with the guy, his wife, and baby. They put me on one side of the bed, then the wife, then the baby, and then him. And here I am. This is the bed. This is me hanging on there, knowing if I just touched her, I was going to get my throat slit. That was the second night after I got shot down. Then next day we walked a full day. And we picked up Carmen's sister, Enos, a little bit younger. Carmen was probably 17, maybe Enos 16. And Enos, it was at the home of Carmen and Enos. We sat around the table in the evening, and they actually had real food for us. I got to eat a real meal. I taught all the girls everything on the table, you know, this is salt, this is pepper, this is dish. We had fun. Next day, all 4 of us take off walking. They explained to me that any Germans see us, the first thing I do is put my arm around Enos, he puts his arm around Carmen. We're lovers out for a stroll. The Germans won't be suspicious. And if they come over and I have to say anything, I don't know how to talk. I look kind of bad anyway, the burns on my face and so forth. They might think I'm an idiot. So for the next 3 or 4 days, as we trekked through the mountains, heading towards an area north of Pisa where it's easiest to get back. I'm not going to keep you here too much longer. Don't get too bored.
I got 11 minutes of film left.
So we didn't run into any Germans, so I didn't have to hug up Enos. But every night we slept in barns, never in a house. I can remember eating the raw eggs. We had trouble, you know, really going to a place we knew was safe, and they taught me how to do it. You break one end off, you put the other in your mouth, you go. And that's the way you eat the eggs, but we didn't have any way to cook them. I think I only got one more page of these things. I wanted to get it in order. Probably halfway through the trip, up on the very top of one of these mountains. This range is the Apennines. The range north of Italy is the Alps, the real big ones. The Apennines go up to about 8,000 feet. We were pretty high on them when we go to this villa. I meet this lady about, I thought she was a real old lady then, but remember I was a young kid, probably 40. and she was from Iowa, had married an Italian. He'd taken her over there to his villa in Italy. He'd been killed as part of the war, and I don't know which side he was fighting on. But she was just thrilled to death. And she had one thing she had been saving for years, a little tin that had 4 Lucky Strike cigarettes in it. And she got those out for us to celebrate her finally seeing somebody that could speak English. So we shared those 4 cigarettes. And another couple of days on the walk, almost stumbled over these 2 people laying naked out on the side of a hill, this guy and this girl. And he jumped up, but he didn't speak Italian, he spoke English. And I found out I'd run into a British commando group that had parachuted into enemy territory with their 2 jeeps. They explained to me had 4 parachutes on them, one on each corner, into a, they said a dry riverbed, but there may be a flat field. And their job was to run down into German-occupied areas at night and shoot them up with machine guns. They had these guns mounted on all 4 corners of the jeeps. One for the driver, the guy in the passenger seat on the front, and both on the back. And I guess these were the Sten British machine guns. They'd drive down into the German areas, shoot them up like mad, then get back in the hills. And somehow or another the Germans couldn't find them. Well, they'd lost a couple of guys. They had a spare. I think there was 9 of them to start with, and they're down to 7. And they were tickled to death to see an American that could man one of the machine guns for them. So they were going to conscript me right there. No thanks. I said, no thanks. You know, when they're shooting at me, I could at least get down to the bottom of the cockpit and drive it like this. And the last stop was at there's a couple of houses right together. Germans weren't around there at all. They felt very safe. And it was sort of a takeoff point for any airman that had ever been shot down. The hardest could get to that point. And I ran into a British Spitfire pilot who had been shot down sometime before, and 2 B-25 gunners been shot down way up in northern Italy and come all the way across the Po Valley. And the Spitfire pilot and I asked him how many missions he had flown. He said, we don't count them. We just fly till the war is over. He says, probably 300. I don't think any American pilot ever flew that many. This was the 3rd time he had been shot down. And he said, the first time, you know, he says, I did it just like everybody tries to do it. Just slow down and go to the side. And the 2nd time, I thought I'd do a little different. So I rolled full forward trim tab, held the stick back, then let go of it, let the plane pop out from under. He said, I'm going to have to figure out a new way next time, just to be different. He was real character. Next day, I guess from that point, is when we take our height to get back to our side. And we were going around down the trail, and a whole bunch of these Italians wanted to go with us. I don't know where they got a reward or what. But there was like 10 of them, and the 2 B-25